5 things we learned from Liverpool 2, Brentford 0. What a massive performance from Liverpool in Arne Slot's first game at Anfield. I know it's Brentford, I know it's Ipswich before, but we've seen the likes of Ten Hag come in. We've seen the likes of Pochettino at Chelsea struggle under immense pressure. Even Klopp's first season at Liverpool. There's some highlights, of course, but they started slow. This Arne Slot side looks like a real development and a progression on Jurgen Klopp. This isn't a departure. This isn't a revolution of what Jurgen Klopp's developed. This is a side that are taking a lot of what Jurgen Klopp instilled in the club, particularly that counter-attacking goal that Diaz scored. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then he's developing on it. I'm very, very impressed. I know it's 2 games in. I know it's Brentford, but Brentford had their chances, had a decent spell in the game. But here are the 5 things that we learned. The first one actually for me is Andy Robertson, who's someone that we kind of sleep on sometimes in football. I think when you have a legacy as long and as incredible as Andy Robertson at left back in the Premier League, you kind of sleep on players sometimes, kind of forget how good he is. And I thought he was so good down that left-hand flank for Liverpool. Had 2 or 3 big chances, particularly that header from the kind of semi-bicycle kick. Another chance that he probably should have scored on his left foot. He went near post and it was a smart save from Flecken. But that's one. We always talk about Trent. Maybe as an England fan, I'm a little bit guilty of talking about Trent. But Andy Robertson, on his day, is the best left-back in the world. I think he's a massive asset when he's fully fit. I know he's had a slight set of injury concerns the last couple of years. If he's fully fit with Trent this season, these are 2 players that we don't talk about enough when we address Liverpool's season, because they're world-class fullbacks still. They're still at the club. Talks about Trent going to Real Madrid seem a little bit thin this summer in particular. Arne Slot with these 2 bombing forward, it's outrageous. He was absolutely devastating against Brentford. And we have to say that Andy Robertson, again, on his day, is, I think, one of the best attacking left-backs of a generation. Defensively, maybe we could question his defensive qualities. I certainly wouldn't. I think he's as good as you can get as a fullback, particularly from the left-hand side. He was absolutely superb against Brentford. The second thing we have to talk about is Mohamed Salah. That's 2 games, 2 goals. Another beautiful finish. Very similar on some level to the Ipswich one, kind of coming onto it and sort of just getting it around the keeper. It's just the same old story of Mohamed Salah. He is a Premier League great and he's worth his weight in gold. Obviously, the links to Saudi Arabia last summer. Obviously, links to maybe his age and kind of his long-term future at Liverpool this summer. Approaching the end of his contract like a few other Liverpool players. He's worth his weight in gold, even if Liverpool come 4th and scrape another Champions League season under Arne Slot and give him a platform to be in the Champions League next season with a few more signings and a second year of Arne Slot football. That's worth its weight in gold. But there's a thing that we're not really talking about with Mohamed Salah is that he actually has the capability to be so good in European football that he could drive Liverpool onto more in the first season than a lot of people would give them credit for, particularly in their prediction videos. Can they win the Premier League? I think the squad is a little bit thin in midfield. Can they be a cup side and blow sides away? Particularly, I'll have to talk about the counter-attacking goal later in the video, but that counter-attacking goal, the way they move the ball so quick out of a Brentford corner. I know it's Brentford, but you just think they could do that under the lights Tuesday night against anyone in the Champions League. And that, for me, is something we have to talk about. If Mohamed Salah stays fit, just like the Andy Robertson point, they've still got a side that competes with the Man Cities, the Arsenals, the Real Madrids, the Bayern Munichs of the world in terms of having 3 or 4 world-class players in their prime affecting games. And Salah, 2 games, 2 goals, gone right under the radar. He's absolutely fantastic. It was another beautiful finish from Mohamed Salah. The third one, finally, is the counter-attacking goal. I love these kind of goals. That goal from Diaz was absolutely outrageous. The way they move the ball. I think it's Salah that wins the ball first. It goes into Jota. I might be wrong about that, but whoever wins the ball, early, high challenge, high press, that has clearly been worked on the training ground. The ball into Jota, the way he moves, it's a beautiful ball. His quality all game was exceptional, Jota. I think he's been great since the start of the season. He needs to be someone they keep fit and wrapping cotton wool because he's absolutely exquisite. No debate now, it's him and Salah, 2 out of the 3. With Diaz, for me, and obviously Nunez coming on, that front 3 now makes itself, in my opinion. The way he moves the ball into Diaz was absolutely outrageously good. And then the Diaz finish, Flecken, it's a little bit at Flecken, so it looks, he's kind of pushed it into the top corner, makes it look a little bit, maybe aesthetically better than it is, but the quality of lacing it near post like that on your left foot, his weaker foot, is outrageous. It's outrageous. It's such a high quality goal, which screams to me that Arne Slot on the training ground is able to instill an intensity, a work ethic, and a sharpness in terms of counter-attacking play. It's very impressive to get that kind of cohesion. Counter-attacking goals are all about teamwork, as we know. It's not about individual brilliance. It's about, you know, space and knowing where the other players are going to be and knowing that the other players are going to commit to making those lung-busting runs. And the fact that they're doing that so early in the season, yes, they're already tried and tested world-class players. Yes, Jurgen Klopp was doing that for years and creating those kind of massively high-pressure goals that sides used to fall for every single time, particularly at Anfield. City used to concede so many goals with that kind of counter-attacking intensity. So Arne Slot, for me, is building upon Jurgen Klopp's ability to do the kind of gegenpress, high intensity, win the ball high up and score these kind of counter-attacking goals. Win the ball early as well from deep positions. But then he's able to continue it and develop upon it. And for me, he's a fantastic manager, getting it that good. These standard goals that early in the season, I think, is fantastic in my opinion. The fourth point has to be Gravenberch in midfield. Not a fan of that. Him and McAllister played this kind of double pivot. At points, they lost the ball in midfield a little bit too early. I think Norgard was getting some joy pressing. For me, they're going to get found out against Arsenal's, against even Chelsea's, the way Chelsea were playing against Wolves. I know it's Wolves, but maybe Chelsea's not a good example. Maybe Spurs, the way they press. We can debate their quality all day long. Obviously, Man City and obviously sides in Europe as well. That isn't a midfield. Now, we've only got a few days left of the transfer window. What, 7 days, I think it is. The way Liverpool moved on Caicedo, it didn't work. And Lavia, the speed of which that money was available to get that deal done, would suggest to me that there's money there. There should be, particularly getting into the Champions League, they have to go out and get a proven midfielder, a number 6 of a high quality. Moreno's just gone to Arsenal, essentially. Zubimendi was linked to Liverpool. Why can't Liverpool compete for those kind of players in the kind of mid to late 20s, in their prime, that can come in and make a difference? Endo came on the pitch in the second half, and you can see that Arne Slot was having to try a few things because he made 5 substitutions. Conor Bradley came on, Nunes came on, Gakpo came on. So he's clearly trying to rotate his squad and see how do I address all the issues in the squad. There aren't that many, but the big one is the midfield. I don't think a double pivot of those two work at all. McAllister, Gravenberch, they're very similar players. They're very aesthetic players, good footballers. Like in terms of the pure approach to football, they're footballers, but they're not athletes in terms of dominating the ball and winning the ball high up. They're not Fabinho, they're not Kante. They need someone like that. It's not easy, and I don't think Endo is necessarily the long-term solution. So I do think he needs to address it still. It's the second game now, and you saw Ipswich get a bit of joy, and Brentford, two not very inspiring sides. In terms of relative to where they are in the league, they have to address that. And just finally, we have to talk about the centre-back partnership. Konate looked a lot better today with Van Dijk. Clean sheet for Liverpool at Anfield. Very assured, only 6 or 7 chances really in the whole game for Brentford. That is a centre-back partnership that I think now works with the two fullbacks that can bomb on. The athleticism and the power of Van Dijk and Konate for me works massively. But we know about Quanza's quality, and he'll be a player that comes in as well. Very interesting win for Arne Slot. I on some level have seen more tactical development in his Liverpool side. A belief in philosophy more than maybe even Erik ten Hag at Man United. Maybe that's harsh saying that, but that's a genuine thought I had, particularly after that first goal. Huge fan of that. It was a very, very well-worked, high-quality goal. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you very, very soon.